In our Sunrise Smart Start, New York has its new governor this morning. Kathy Hochul sworn in during a private ceremony at midnight once Governor Cuomo's resignation took effect. Hochul is the state's first female governor. Carmela Boykin is live this morning with what we can expect on day one of the Hochul administration. Carmela, good morning.
Good morning, Mark. After being sworn in last night in a ceremony, Governor Kathy Hochul will be sworn in a public ceremony today at 10 a.m. As the new Democratic governor takes office, she's inheriting a number of challenges, one of which, of course, is COVID-19, which is still an issue. As schools are set to reopen in the coming weeks, big decisions are to be made about whether to require masks for students and vaccinations for teachers. This, while the state's economic recovery from the pandemic is still incomplete. Hochul will also need to build a team of advisors to help steer the state for at least the next 16 months. She says she plans to keep Cuomo-era employees for 45 days to allow time to interview new hires, but will not keep anyone who is found to behave unethically. Assemblymember Stephen Hawley says he's looking forward to seeing action from the new governor.
Well, I think that it's a bright day for not only my constituents, but every resident of the state of New York. We've all seen what's happened and unfolded since the pandemic and way before that as well, obviously. So we shall see what the future holds for Mr. Cuomo. But now we need to have a smile on our face. The sun is out here in Western New York.
And Governor Hochul is set to address the people of New York State today at 3 p.m. from Albany. Reporting in Rochester, Carmela Boykin, News 8. Mark?
Carmela, thank you. Governor Hochul's term is set to end at the end of next year. She has already said, however, she plans to run for re-election. Well, House lawmakers scrapping a plan late Monday that would have pushed forward two bills, infrastructure and budget. Democrats hope to pass both together, but pushback from members on Capitol Hill paused that plan. We are joined by Washington correspondent Anna Wernicke this morning with more live in D.C. Anna, good morning. Let's begin with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. What is she saying about the disagreements among House Democrats on these voting measures?
Good morning. Well, the House worked well past midnight last night, well into the morning, trying to decide what parts of President Biden's agenda they would take up and in what order. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has made it very clear that she would like to see both the infrastructure bill and budget bill passed together. But now we're seeing a group of moderate Democrats putting that plan on pause. They want to see this infrastructure bill passed first, and they've threatened to vote against the budget bill if that doesn't happen. So right now there's a lot of conversations happening behind the scenes. We know that the Democratic caucus is meeting this morning first before the House is set to gavel in at noon and resume negotiations. But when House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was leaving the Capitol earlier this morning, she did remain positive and said that we're just going to have to see what happens today.
Well, a lot going on. The House hinting it would take up voting rights and Afghanistan this week as well. Are those issues still on the agenda?
Well, the House did return back from recess with a very lengthy to-do list, but given the complexity and the pushback that we're seeing from just the infrastructure and budget bills, it just doesn't seem likely that they'll be able to tackle the rest of that to-do list. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has made set an October 1st goal to wrap up the infrastructure deal, so that right now just remains to be a top priority on Capitol Hill.
All right, we're watching closely. Anna, thank you as always. West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin urging the House to put politics aside and pass the bipartisan bill, adding it would send a terrible message to the American people if the bill is, quote, held hostage. The Biden administration asking the Supreme Court to leave the eviction moratorium in place after it was challenged by landlords and real estate groups. The court had allowed an earlier version of the freeze to wind down. The CDC then renewed the measure through October 3rd. Groups representing landlords say Congress doesn't have the authority to give the CDC the power to issue that moratorium. James Gilbert with us, having a look at the forecast. A classic summer day is on tap for this Tuesday, James.
Dry roads, Mark, for a nice bike ride, maybe, if you're thinking about doing that on this Tuesday morning. Should be a great start to the day, as temperatures slightly cooler than yesterday. Most spots in the mid to upper 60s. We'll climb into the mid to upper 80s this afternoon. Maybe we're thinking about getting on the golf course. Should be a great day for a round. Those Tuesday evening leagues wrapping up. If this is not the last week, I'm sure it's probably coming up soon, but should still be a great afternoon for your late tea times. Mark?
James, thank you. To the roads now with our sunrise traffic. The big story this morning, a backup on the west side, 490 east at 390. Expect major delays there all the way back to 531. And another accident at this hour in Rochester on Klein Street at Weaver Street. So take note there as well. In other news this morning, a man has been arrested in connection with that shooting at a pub in Hilton over the weekend. Greece police say 44-year-old Kenneth Serro of Hilton has been arrested after that altercation led to a shooting at the Willow Inn Sunday night. Serro was arraigned in Greece court, is being held on $1,000 cash bail as well. We're told the victim in that shooting is in stable condition. To the latest on COVID-19, local health officials reacting to the FDA's full approval of the Pfizer COVID vaccine. Last year, Pfizer's 2-dose remedy was given the green light by the FDA for emergency use. Now that full approval applies to all Americans 16 years and older. The FDA says those 12 to 15 are still eligible for the vaccine, but that age group is still operating under the emergency use authorization until more data can be collected. Local leaders hope the approval will convince those who are hesitant to get the shot.
There is a significant number of people who have been hesitant that will step forward now that it receives full approval, but we'll have to wait and see if that actually happens.
And now that we have full FDA approval, it puts it in the same league as all of our other vaccines and all of our other medications from the standpoint of it being safe and effective.
Well, U.S. health experts say Moderna will submit its vaccine for full FDA approval at the end of the month. There is no timetable for that approval for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. In New York City, all public school teachers and staff will have to be vaccinated against the coronavirus going forward. Officials announcing the new policy yesterday. The city previously said teachers, like other city employees, would have to get the shot or be tested weekly. The new policy marks the first official vaccination mandate for city workers in New York City. The school year begins September 13th in the Big Apple. Rochester Regional Health and UR Medicine's Rochester hospitals announcing new visitation policies amid a surge in COVID cases. Those changes will begin tomorrow. The hospital systems say due to rapid transmission rates caused by the Delta variant, officials are now moving toward more strict visitation policies. The changes include no visitors for COVID-positive patients. At Rochester Regional Hospitals, patients without COVID can have one visitor at a time. They must be 12 or older. The same goes for UR Medicine hospitals, but patients are limited to 2 designated visitors for their total stay. All SUNY schools are requiring students to be vaccinated. The school system announcing back in July once the FDA gave full approval for a vaccine, it would move forward with that mandate. A survey of 35,000 students in the SUNY system shows about 72% have already gotten at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is calling for additional funding for RIT's National Technical Institute for the Deaf. Gillibrand, along with other local officials, asking for an increase of just over $8 million in funding for 2022. The $8.2 million in funding would provide resources needed to educate deaf and hard of hearing students from around the country. Monroe County Legislator Joe Morelli Jr. is proposing a plan that would put Irondequoit residents in charge of a climate action plan for the town. The Irondequoit Citizen-Led Environmental Accountability Network, or iClean, would create a 3-year sustainability plan. The group would also be responsible for making sure Irondequoit is carrying out the new environmental policies. All right, here's what some folks might be talking about at the water cooler this morning. The local bar, restaurant, and bowling alley, Radio Social, will be featured on the Food Network's Best Thing I Ever Ate for their famous duck wings. The bowling alley serves food under the name Ophira, which is Middle Eastern fare. According to the website, those duck wings are charred with red chile pomegranate molasses with za'atar cream. Mentioned it earlier on the show. Maybe a little early in the day for that, but it does sound tempting, James.
It does, yeah. I've had their hummus. It's fantastic.
I bet.
Big hummus guy, and maybe you're bringing that, packing your lunch with a little bit of that as you get ready for your morning commute. Temperatures in the 60s, we warm up pretty quickly into the 70s, eventually into the mid-80s this afternoon. UV index up to 7. Definitely want to protect your skin as the sun is out for today. Just a bit of a haze out there. We'll leave you with the 8-day forecast here. All right, we're going 91 for Wednesday. We'll see if we get there. We forecasted a bunch of 90s a few weeks ago, and we kept hitting 89. So we really haven't seen 90, Mark, since the beginning of July.
It's amazing.
You know, we've gotten warm, 88, 89. We'll see if we can get there tomorrow, but otherwise enjoy today. Should be beautiful out there. Low humidity, that's what's also nice about it.
You bet, James. Thank you. That's it for us for now. Thank you for watching News 8 at Sunrise. Our next update in about 30 minutes. CBS This Morning is up next. Have a great day.
Follow News 8 wherever you are on RochesterFirst.com, Facebook, Twitter, and on our app for news and weather.